And welcome back to Area DMG. Today we're doing something a little bit different. What we're going to go ahead and do is compare DS games running on the new 3DS XL and the 3DS XL and the DSi XL and for a little bit the DS Lite in our pictorial coverage of it, running a DS game. This is a little bit weird because well, people were wondering how DS stuff looks on a new 3DS XL. We do not have a new 3DS in which to show that off or to demonstrate how that runs because it wasn't released in the United States. No! Okay, but what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to use Chrono Trigger for our comparison. Let's bring that up a little bit. Yeah, we're going to use Chrono Trigger for our comparison between these systems. Mainly the Nintendo 3DS XL and the new Nintendo 3DS XL have the ability to stretch DS games out to full screen, or to, if you hold down select or the start button while the game is booting up, play them in a 1:1 rate. Mainly because the pixel density and the amount of pixels, the resolution that the new 3DS and the 3DS XL have is completely different from the DSi XL. We are using the DS Lite. We're not using an original DS because, quite frankly, those are pretty hard to record off of because they have like one brightness on and then off. Whereas the DS Lite, we have all of these on their maximum brightness, except for I think the DS Lite and the DSi have like one more brightness that can be accessed when they're plugged in, but just barely. Similar to, like, I think the PSP does the same thing. But overall, we're just running them off their batteries at their maximum achievable brightness with batteries for this particular demonstration. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to head off to a kind of long video comparing all of these, and then we have several different pictures. We suggest that you put this into 720p or higher. Actually, no, you can't really go higher because all of our stuff is at 720p HD, and make it full screen. That way you can view everything. Because a lot of people were asking how they run, we were going to use we're using Chrono Trigger because, well, that's quite frankly a game that should be in every DS owner's collection. Every DS owner needs to have it. If you don't have it, we may have to revoke your DS privileges. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's that. Let's go and get to the video. Okay. This test is between the 3DS XL on the other side, on the left-hand side, and the new Nintendo 3DS XL on the right-hand side, running a video of Chrono Trigger DS in small mode, side by side. We're gonna check this. We're gonna do this comparison to show you the improved contrast between the two. Okay, let's see. We turned down the volume to prevent, well, they're kind of loud. Actually, to be perfectly honest though, the new Nintendo 3DS is actually slightly louder than the original 3DS XL. We wanted to make sure that there was no interference between the two screens, like no outside light other than what they generate. We have them fully extended for this. Let's pop them up just slightly. As you can see, the new 3DS XL on the right hand side has a slightly better contrast rate than the older 3DS XL. By and far, actually. So there's that. In fact, we noticed that some of the earlier Nintendo products, for example the DS Lite, are oversaturated in comparison to each other. For example, the DS Lite has a really bad saturation rate. But as you can see, it's obviously better quality on the right hand side. Mainly due to the darker contrast and the better color separation. Slightly better screen. The specs haven't changed between the screens, essentially. Just that one screen's a newer and better screen with like blacker blacks, whiter whites, etc. But yeah, pretty much this kind of speaks for itself. Yeah, these things. But yeah, this is the 3DS XL and the new 3DS XL, both running the same DS game in 1:1 ratio. 1:1 ratio is actually slightly larger than if you were playing it on the DS Lite, making it similar to playing the game on a DSi. Not on a DSi XL, mind you, but like you were playing it on a DSi. Oh, I will actually just go ahead and show off the speakers. Here's the speaker for the 3DS XL. The difference between the two is kind of stark. Let's move this down a little bit. We're using Kid Icarus stands. Okay, we're gonna cancel out of those. Now we're gonna move this up a little. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to run the same test in full screen. Since it's really just the, we're going to turn down the volume a little. There we go. Okay, these are two different systems. One hasn't beaten the game yet. Load this file, load up our extras. Okay, we're gonna go to theater in a moment. Theater. As you can see, okay, we're going to play the same video once again. As you can see, they are now in full screen or stretched mode, and we're running the same video. Again, it's very evident on the bottom screen that there's quite a bit better contrast. Especially on some of these. There's no outside light interfering with this, so you can pretty much see that there is in fact a saturation between the two. What we're going to do in a moment is we're going to go ahead and, since we've kind of proven our point with the Nintendo 3DS XL in regards to the new Nintendo 3DS XL, we're going to go ahead and we're going to compare the stretched 3DS XL mode to the original DSi XL, which should be interesting. Yep. Wow, there's definitely, I would actually suggest putting this into a 720p video. Oh, sorry, yeah, run this at 720p, full screen, so you can get more of an idea of what's going on. Okay, Definitely, there's I mean, there's really very little contest between the two. Now, I still believe that the DSi XL is the best way to play a DS game, mostly, if you've got larger hands or whatnot. Whereas the new 3DS XL is the best way to play a 3DS game, and in some cases, well, you'll see in a little bit. After it runs through this, it's man, this game, yo, this game is so good. But yeah, we've got let's see, they're fighting off against, I think, Zombone is the name of that thing. Yeah. God, gotta love Akira Toriyama's stuff. Yeah, that happens. And there they are in the Epoch. And were they out? Yeah, Chrono Trigger. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and disable the 3DS XL and replace that with a with an older DSi XL. Okay, we're going to do that in a moment. Okay, we'll use touchscreen to continue. What's funny is the DSi XL and the 3DS XL, in terms of audio power, are actually fairly comparable, speaker-wise. With the, I think if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember which one is the loudest. I know the new 3DS is actually fairly loud. Okay, we're gonna bring those in. Now, since this one isn't stretched, there will be, I think that the DSi XL will probably be slightly sharper, definitely slightly sharper than the new 3DS XL in terms of picture quality. I would imagine so, because, well, quite frankly, one is stretched, the other's not. Yeah, there's already a weird difference in contrast between the two. I think that's because, like I said, the new 3DS XL on the right hand side has a darker contrast in comparison to the DSi XL on the left hand side. Okay, let's see these run. Let's bring this down a little so they're more closer to each other in terms of so they're closer to each other in terms of where the screen is positioned. Oh, that's weird. Anyway, it's not actually as cut and dry as one would expect. In fact, it's actually kind of debatable. You've got proper color separation between the two, despite the fact that the right-hand side one is slightly more washed out due to the way that it's set. Just had to check and make sure that the lighting is correct. As you can tell over here, we've got very not too much of a difference between playing this on the DSi and playing it on the DSi XL and playing it on the new 3DS XL. In fact, aside from a little bit of aliasing that's added to the game itself when you're playing it on the 3DS XL, because it is stretched, there's not much difference in color saturation and in performance. In fact, in a way, it's actually a lot more comparable than I was expecting. Where the new 3DS XL actually does look slightly darker in some instances. For example, when you see Magus in this one, he looks a little bit lightly he looks a lot more sallow or gray than he does on the DSi XL in comparison between the two. But yeah, that's what we might do is we might do some in-game stuff a little bit later. We actually no, what we're going to do is we went to the art gallery and took a couple of shots of some of the images in the art gallery in an effort to demonstrate the difference between those. Like I said, put this into 720p full screen, and then after following this little video, there will be a little bit about slides which you can pause and take a look at to see the difference between the 3 different variations, including we throw in the DSi Lite to just to show the difference between all of these systems. And I'm your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth. Thank you for watching this comparison video between the 3DS XL, the DSi XL, the new 3DS XL, and for putting up with the cat. Oh yeah, and the DS Lite's in there too. But yes, this is your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and you are now caught up. Oh, before we go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We love it when you do that. We appreciate subscriptions and likes and all that jazz. Do it. And like I said, you are now caught up.